So that's what I was mentioning, that one means is to increase the share of India's agriculture into export. Obviously, that's one way, but there are many other ways of doing it. Incidentally, when you say agriculture, the total contribution of agriculture sector, agriculture means five things actually. The horticulture is more than agriculture. So what we talked about, actually this agriculture production is now less than horticulture production. Then there is a milk, the dairies. Then there is a meat, and there is also fisheries. So if you combine all that, that's what would actually ultimately mean to that. So it's not just agriculture. So now, in fact, the problem with that is that problems of agriculture are many. So I will not be able to tell you in 1 minute. But one of the challenge of agriculture is the human resource. In fact, there's a disguised employment in agriculture. There are more people on farm than what are necessary. And there was a national sample survey made some years ago. We said that almost more than 40% of people want to live farming because they don't see social status there, they don't realize it. So that's why we have to find out non-farm activities for those who are actually currently working in the farm. So that's one way of increasing. Suppose if the farmer's family start earning more income, obviously those remain on the farm, the per capita income also goes up. And then the family income also goes up. So there are many linkages which you have to bring in with farm and non-farm. So it's not just agriculture per se which has an issue, which is an issue. And there are many kinds of issues. For example, what the big problem of agriculture which we don't discuss is that we have only 4% of the water of the world, only 2.2% land of the world, and we are supposed to produce much more food than what is necessary now, because a growing population, increasing purchasing power would mean that people will spend more on food. Because the people who move from poverty line, the first thing they would like to do is to eat more food, because that's what they never got. And therefore the income goes up. In fact, if you look at a poor family, 85% of the family income goes into buying food. So now the demand for food is going to increase, and food will come from agriculture. Of course, as I said, not only agriculture, food basket will include all these five, which I just mentioned. But still, the challenge is the natural resources from which you can make either of all of these are getting under serious threat. Water is going down, water table, because we are using now groundwater, so not surface water. And without water you cannot do agriculture. Without, as you used to say earlier, without water you cannot do shaving. But I think that you can do probably nowadays with a shaver, electric shaver. But without water you cannot do agriculture. So where is the water? And that's one of the problems. And in climate change, is going to make the water availability a very big issue. So if you talk about problems in agriculture, this is a big problem of agriculture. So barring other problems, this is one big problem. Second problem, land. There's so much of it, 2.2% of the land of the world is in India. And that is to be used for infrastructure, same land is to be used for housing, same land is to be used for agriculture. And how do you make sure, and then to irrigate, to make it arable area from land. Land is not necessarily arable. To make it arable, to make it ensure that we produce food and agriculture from that, you have to also have irrigation. Irrigation will come from where? On land. You cannot have irrigation in the air. You cannot build airports in air or seaport in the sea. So you need land for that as well. And therefore this is a major issue, and the climate change is going to make agriculture big problem. Even 1.5 degrees centigrade, that's what we are saying now. It's a permissible, rather tolerable limit, which is what the global negotiations are taking place, including COP27. If that happens, wheat production is gone. Substantial threat. So what about that problem? So you should talk about such problems, the basic problems of agriculture, besides what we know, whether we lose 30%, 25% of food without reaching its market. It is like a mortality. It's like infant mortality, it's agriculture mortality. But rather that these are the fundamental problems of agriculture which will be staring not only in India, globally, because climate change is a global phenomenon. But some country might benefit in agriculture for some time, particularly the Scandinavia, because they will be able to now produce food more than because now the temperature rising would make it more possible. But India has a serious problem. One of the big threat to agriculture will come from climate change. So we have to make climate-proof agriculture. We'll have to create new seeds which can withstand such heat. We have to make sure that and then water. In fact, where is the water for agriculture? So how we are going to do it? So I think we'll have to think about it in a much broader way rather than talking about it in a superficial level. So it is a very important issue.